Hi everyone, it's Lee Salisbury. I hope you've had an amazing Christmas and I really hope you are still laid on the sofa, eating leftovers and watching Home Alone. And of course, listening to Soap from the Box, the podcast where I interview actor mates from some of the country's biggest continuing dramas. And I'm going to break it to you gently, this is the last episode of Series 1. It's a New Year special, so enjoy. This is the very last episode of Season 1 of Soap from the Box, and I'm ending on a massive high. It's New Year in a few days' time. Christmas has been and gone. It actually hasn't, because we're recording this just before Christmas. But my guest today is born and bred in Bolton, best known for playing Katie Sugden in Emmerdale from 2001 to 2015, and best known to me as one of my closest friends, Sammy Winward.
Hi everyone.
How are you, Sammy? I was going to say, well, did you see I put a pause in between Katie and Sugden because we've actually got a special name for Sammy.
Yeah,
Katie.
I don't know if we can.
Can't share it.
We can actually share it. It might be a bit rude.
It is a little bit rude, but yeah, you might gather kind of why it is later on in the podcast. But I always start with a memorable moment, and we've got so many on set actually. Normally I'm kind of struggling, but I think the one I picked was when we filmed you in hospital. And what happens to everyone listening is we cast people that are in a few episodes, and there was a doctor, you were in bed, Katie had had an accident, and you might not walk again. This was the story. And so the director before me had cast a doctor that I then used, and the scene we did was you kind of went, what's it called when you stop breathing?
Yeah, I went into a coma.
Yeah, went into a coma. And the doctor had to hold the paddles that kind of get you back
resuscitate me.
And obviously you say stand clear, and she kept saying stand still and was waving them everywhere and touching everyone.
She was waving them really like all around in the air, like, near everyone's faces.
So the specialists were going to me, that would actually kill everyone.
Yeah, they'd be dead. They'd be dead.
So I had to keep going back on set, and then she had to tell Katie that she might not, she might be in a wheelchair for a few months. So I'd said to the actress, and we obviously won't name her, that it wasn't the worst news, so she had to say it really positively. And she said, action, and she went, ooh. Do you remember that?
Well, I remember it, and the main reason I remember it is because obviously I knew my reaction had to be completely distraught. You're not going to walk for a few months, which anyone hearing that is horrendous. But the first noise was, ooh. And I had to try and keep a straight face.
Which I don't think any of us did.
I'm so bad for the giggles anyway. So having you in the room, Lee, was a nightmare.
Well, I think I was in the van, luckily for some, but I remember having to come back on set and say to her, right, we need to play it, obviously, like I said, like it's not the worst. Usually she went, that's how I played it. Which then set us off, because then we went for another take. Okay, she said, okay, I'll do it more positive. And you went, so what's the thing?
Yeah, but what do you do, though, if you do tell an actor that? You say to do it in a different way and they go, I am doing it like that. You've got nowhere else to go. You just have to leave it.
And so I can't remember. It's one of those moments that then the rest is kind of blacked out because I don't know what happened. I think I might have phoned casting and said, kind of make sure that we make another person. Because I remember even the specialist there was like, I could just do this.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
But it's weird, isn't it, when guest artists come on, because it's quite hard to fit. I mean, like, I think I've always said to you, Katie is kind of one of the hardest characters to play, I think, because she was very normal.
Yeah. Like,
she wasn't a character actress part. She wasn't like big and like Val and like so many people in Emmerdale. You were just having to play it normal, which I think is one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right with that. Like, there was never real extremes as such with Katie. She was never totally wild or anything like that. She was very real.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I did bring a lot of myself to her anyway, because you have to do that with the character, because there's so many situations in a soap where you've never experienced or done any of those things before. So you have to go, right, what would I do in that situation? Yeah. Because I can't go off anything else. I don't know how anyone would react or I'd react. So you just have to think, what would I do? So I did bring a lot of myself to it.
Well, I think even if you said to anyone, actually, it's probably anyone listening who even has a picture taken of them and you suddenly make, I mean, I'm the worst for this, as we know. I'm Chandler from Friends. that something happens to me when a camera's put in front of me and I make the weirdest faces. But I've always thought, you know, like my friend Karen was an extra in Emmerdale once, and they said, right, you just walk across the street, and suddenly you start thinking, right, how do I walk?
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I've not seen that.
Because it's like, when you start thinking about, right, how do I walk? You actually then think, right, where do I put my hands?
Yeah.
And like everything like that is really weird.
Well, I think the thing with it being a guest, because I've done it since I've left Emmerdale, where you've come on just for a small part for something, and it's 10 times more nerve-wracking than when you're on a show for long term. Because you know everyone, you know your character, but if you come on for a little guest part, the pressure is on, you feel like you've got to prove yourself in a day.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
And the worst part is when you don't have that much to do or say. So it's very simple, like you said, walking along the street.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my God, I've forgotten how to walk. Oh my God.
Then I think we've done scenes, I don't know whether you're in the pub scene, when I had an extra who was quite deaf. And he was talking really loudly in the background. And Liz, who plays Diane, was like, can we? And we were like, yeah, you can hear him more than you can hear you. It's like, no. I know it's so good. But anyway, so we are going to get through today. Normally, so we speak about the soap and then about you. And this, I know you'll dread, but it will lead us through your storylines there. It's the Katie quiz. So I know. I think they're quite easy.
Okay.
Okay. So when you join this, we'll go right back to the beginning. This will take us through. Who gave Andy, obviously Kelvin Fletcher, money to take Katie for their first date at Chez Marlon?
Chez Marlon, I remember it.
Which
well, I'm assuming it was his dad, Jack.
No.
It
was Kane Dingle.
Kane Dingle?
I know. I was quite surprised by that.
That is, I remember the day. I remember Chez
Marlon.
Marlon.
So where was Chez Marlon?
That was... is that not where the cafe is now? But it's been redone, I think, potentially.
I mean, that name is a programme in itself. Chez Marlon.
No, yeah, definite spin-off material there.
And we just talked about this before we started recording, and actually, like, Coronation Street, I think, is known for its matriarchal women. I think, actually, Emmerdale's the opposite. I think it's the men, isn't it, who've stayed in it the longest, and we've got, you've got Marlon, you've got Kane, Eric Pollard.
Yeah.
Really strong male characters, actually, in that show. What was it like when you joined and suddenly face to face with Kane and Jeff and people like Mark?
Well, I think I didn't watch the show that much when I was little, but it was always in the background. Like my grandma was she was obsessed with Emmerdale. She loved it.
Because how old were you when you joined?
15.
15.
So obviously, 15. I'd never been on a proper TV set as a full part, as an extra work, but that was it. So it was a major deal for me, because again, it's your first day and you've got to prove yourself. And the worst part about it was I was dressed in the most horrendous outfit. I had fishnet top, bright orange and black striped, with a tiny see-through little crop top, not see-through, the mesh was see-through, a little crop top, leather pants, big biker boots, big biker goggles around my neck. And
I think everyone's first outfit is always nothing like the character becomes.
Yeah, you're
Isn't
so
it?
right. Yeah,
because they go extreme. It's like she's a biker, so they'll put you in like everything. What a professional biker.
Well, Katie met Andy in detention, so she was seen as a bit of a rebel. So that's what hence the biker goggles.
But we've said before, actually, and this shows how, when I've talked to other people on this about the times changing. Like at the time you were 15, and actually there were loads of quite scenes that I don't think would be filmed now, like you rolling around in mud with Roxanne and like wearing bikinis and stuff.
There's no way that would be allowed now. And I actually do remember, I'm not blaming anyone for this, it was just the way it was written.
It was just a different world as well.
But I do remember there was a storyline of me and Verity, who played Donna, and we had to, basically we were sunbathing on the farm every day for 2 weeks.
In Yorkshire, which happens all the time.
In bikinis. Right? What the hell? And I remember, like, it was very near the end of us doing those scenes. I was just about to get off the bus with Verity to film our last one, and one of the costume girls got a big towel, wrapped it round me. She said, "Get on the bus, you're not doing it anymore. We're all saying you can't do this. It's not okay and it's not right." And I don't know who was to blame for it, but now that would never
be
ever
allowed.
happen.
No. Right, next question. Who did Katie, Andy, Eve, Mark, Ollie and Donna kill?
Miss Strickland!
Yes, Jean Strickland, who was the headmistress of the school. And I mean, I remember actually, obviously, that storyline, but within that group of people I said was Verity Rushworth, Anthony Lewis, Vicky Binns. Amazing, I suppose, to go in with a group of people your age, which doesn't often happen either.
Yeah, we were brought in pretty much all at the same time, and there was another girl, Rain Davison, as well. She was another young,
who was Eve,
blonde.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who Suzanne, is that the part? I never realised Suzanne Shore took over.
Suzanne took over, yes, yeah. And so we all went in at similar times. We got our characters built up a bit, and then we were thrown into the Miss Strickland story.
Which is amazing.
The reason I remember Miss Strickland is because I must have said it as Katie 1,000 times, because it was hush hush, no one knew who killed her. So all of our scenes with the kids were like, well, what are we going to do then about Miss Strickland? You know, are we going to tell anyone about Miss Strickland?
Who was actually driving the car then?
Anthony Lewis.
Anthony Lewis.
Yeah.
But
I think he just got his licence, you know.
What an amazing story, though, to go
know.
into. So that was quite soon after you joined that one.
Yeah, that was literally it felt like a few months. Maybe
and
like
Katie was like so good. It's like as if that was her first like...
I know. I remember I think Katie was the one with a conscience and was like, we need to tell people. Then I remember Eve's character like slamming her against a car going, if you tell anyone, you'll have me to deal with.
Murdering a headmistress though.
I know.
Like, oh my God. Because I think Hollyoaks does go beyond reality, which I found quite hard actually when I worked on it, even though it's brilliant because you're like, these things seriously are mad.
Yeah.
Whereas Emmerdale is quite stuck in reality, I think.
Yeah.
But still, like, that's kind of obviously...
I think with Emmerdale, you tend to do one slightly crazy storyline, like maybe every 2-3 years. One where you kind of go, oh, I don't know if someone...
Well, like you said earlier, things you haven't actually done. Because on a serious note, when Sally Dynevor, who was on earlier in the year, said... which is one of the most amazing stories that I didn't realise. Obviously, she played a storyline with Sally in the show getting breast cancer.
Yeah.
And the day she filmed the scene, she went to her doctor to get the results and she got told she had got breast cancer. Which she said was the most weirdest parallel thing ever.
Yeah.
But she said, then she looked back and would have done it differently. Because obviously, like, you got married in the show and whatever. And you've got married in real life now, say for instance. Would you look back and go, like...
Well, like I said earlier, in terms of you've only got a certain amount of stuff to go with if you haven't been through it yourself. Like my character, she suffered a miscarriage with Andy really early on. I think she was only 15 in it. I mean, getting pregnant at that age, you know, in the show as well. And then suffering the miscarriage, which the scenes were so horrific to film because... obviously, I've never been through any of that.
No, yeah.
But it was so upsetting. And like as a 15-year-old filming those as well, it's really intense knowing there are millions of people out there who have experienced it and having to kind of do it for them at the same time. Like the pressure is on.
I mean, the pressure is, and now I would say, it's like if you join Hollyoaks, you get the cast book, when I joined anyway, that says this will, as a kind of like a throwaway line, you know, this would change your life forever. And I think now, like, 15 is so young to join. I mean, did it change overnight for you? Like, was it obviously going, oh my God, everyone now is recognising me?
Yeah, pretty much. And mainly because when I first went in, Andy's... Well, he always was, but Andy Kelvin Fletcher
was a huge
part. So even my audition, I was terrified. So I was like, oh my God, I'm auditioning with Andy Sugden. This is insane. So all my scenes were with him, which instantly made me... not a popular character, but I was in it all the time. Yeah. So it was the change was instant. Like I'm talking weeks after being on the show, being recognised. And
now thinking of social media, if like say now, what would you say to a 15-year-old? Would you say go into a soap? Like I think it's like it's hard because people want it for their career, but I think you need a bit of experience behind you, really.
Yeah. Well, I think there should be something set into place where you know you get help with that. What to do and what not to do. Like, you know, I've got a nearly 16-year-old daughter now. And so I'm seeing her navigate that social media world and sometimes get it wrong or sometimes do something too private, too personal. I'm like, no, like, babe, that's going to be in the internet or whatever forever now.
I know,
you can't take it back. And I always say this, that I'm so grateful that I wasn't brought up, especially on soap, in the social media world. And I never had social media on Emmerdale. I only ever had it after.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Well, do you remember? I always remember, actually, and as much as we love him, Lyndon, who played Nathan, was the first to get Twitter, really. Yeah. And do you remember he was like, and we were like, oh, God, get over yourself.
What even
and we were like,
Twitter?
It won't matter if you've got that many followers. And then, obviously, it went huge and everyone kind of felt like they needed it. And I remember going to Holby City and the thing was the casting directors were looking at people's social media accounts to see who had the most things because obviously you're bringing fans, which is kind of understandable in a way but terrible in another way.
Yeah, I get it for certain shows, definitely, especially like reality and stuff like that. They want people who've got big following, absolutely. And I was really against it for so many years. I just saw it as a negative thing for some reason. But now I'm starting to see small glimmers of like hope in terms of you can use it for good, you can use it for, you know, charity stuff, or you can use it to promote the show you're in, or promote the book you write, or the podcast you're doing.
Yes.
You know?
Well, what I do, and like, luckily the response has been amazing, but there is obviously the odd troll out there who wants to. And I think we've all learned just to ignore them, actually. You don't give them a voice, because you instantly get annoyed. But I think as an actor, because everyone out there listening, if you're an actor or want to be an actor or you've got another job, I think the hardest thing about being an actor is like me getting to my level, I wouldn't go back 4 stages. But as an actor, you can be at Emmerdale and then go for auditions and not get the job and not get told why you've not got the job. So confidence-wise, it's a real hard way to navigate. But then if you've got social media as well, that people are attacking you. And I think all of us want to look at stuff written about us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's...
and we're all like, oh my God, it's amazing when someone says something nice. But then you are like, how dare they if they don't? And you have to just remember that no one actually knows you.
I think there's... even if there's 1,000 lovely comments and then there's one nasty one for some weird reason...
You remember that
I don't
one.
know what it is with humans, but we always tend to like think about that one. Like I had one recently, I put a post of myself and my daughter on, which I've never done with Mia. Until she was 15, I'd never posted anything.
I saw that, I think, on the holiday. Was it on holiday in the pool?
No, we were just outside here on like a sunny day, and I'd bleached my hair, like really white blonde. And all like, there was lovely comments and stuff, and it wasn't even like, look at what we look like. It was just, this is my first picture of me and my daughter ever. And like lots of newspapers like, oh my God, like I'm not saying this in a soz way, but oh, you look like sisters. But then comments underneath were, sisters, you look like grandma and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm quite a confident person. I'm not like in your face confident, but I think I was having a bad day for whatever reason. You know, just an off day. On a normal day, I would have been like, oh, get lost. I was having a bad day. And those comments really knocked me for 6.
Well, I think because you can't put your head on other people's shoulders, but I think because we are genuinely quite nice people, like I don't get why people do it, so that's why it affects us more.
That's the worst thing, and I decided to post about it. I would never have done that. I wrote a big thing on Instagram, and I said, like, you never know what people are going through. Being told these things, how ugly you look, how awful you look, how old you look, and I'm like, thank God I'm quite confident with myself, you know, because if I wasn't, like, to get those comments.
It's
like
awful.
This,
and that's why I mean, going back to what we were saying about like being 15 joining a soap nowadays, I think would be so hard because you've got all that and when, like you said, when you're that age, you are kind of much more, well, you're not, you know, you're not switched onto the world, are you? As we can go now, don't look at social media. I mean, I'm saying all that. I still look, I love that comment. Even though I don't know them. Right, next question. Who played Mark and Natasha, easy, who played Mark and Natasha who allowed Katie to keep her business at Home Farm in 2009?
Amanda Donohoe and Maxwell Caulfield.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Which I brought up because I was going to just say, if Emmerdale out of all of them is, I think, like the family, we're obviously best friends. We've got a lot of best friends from Emmerdale. And obviously, Amanda Donohoe became a great friend. We had a party around her house, didn't we? She sang we went to Alice's wedding, who played Maisie, who we're still friends with, and Amanda got up quite drunk and took the microphone off the band and sang something amazing and stole the whole show. I remember she was going, I don't want to steal the wedding away from Alice.
She did.
Till about 10 o'clock at night.
till about 10 o'clock.
But is it weird? Was it weird? What's it? I just want to know. So as an actor, you were there for years. Is it always... Are you quite wary of new people coming in? Is it weird to have new people come in? Do you know what I mean? Because I suppose, like, say Alice was your kind of age-ish in it. Like, do you get that kind of like, oh, I hope they're not going to take over my part kind of thing?
Well, I didn't really, but I can imagine that you falling into that quite easily, especially because on a soap, you're not necessarily working all the time, even though you might seem to be on screen. You might have 3 months off. I had that loads. 3 months off, and then I was working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah. So in that 3 months that you're off, if you see like a new girl or a new boy working all the time, you're thinking, oh my God, like they're doing more than me. Are they going to be the new this, the new that? You do think there is like, it's just human instinct to do that.
When I think like when we all were there together, you kind of, it's like someone comes into your friendship, because you form friendship groups and they are ever changing on the soap because people will leave. And people will come in, and it's quite weird, isn't it? That you're like, oh, this person's kind of becoming friends with 4 other people in the friend.
Yeah, because you're spending more time with these people than your own family.
Yeah, you do.
And your friends from home, you're spending way more time with them. So if you've got a nice little dynamic, say there's like 5 or 6 of you, and then a new person comes in, it's not just you see them for 5 minutes. You're with them 12 hours a day.
Well, you get to know each other so quickly, don't you?
Exactly, yeah.
Each other's flaws, each other's good points. And I was going to bring up a funny story, and as much as I love Maxwell, but what I loved about him is Maxwell wanted to keep it fresh for every take. So again, just behind the scenes, people listening, the way Soap's filmed is, you got like 3 cameras on set and you rehearse it, and then obviously, well, the way any drama's filmed, really, that you have to do the same again. And Maxwell, I just used to love. So he used to have a tea towel in one take, and then he'd be like, I'm just going to get rid of that, and I'm going to use this for the next take. He'd be like, oh,
we had one of those with Maxwell where he came in with a custard cream, but he hadn't rehearsed with it.
Yes.
So he came and started eating it, and then the director went, I don't think you should have the biscuit. And he was like, no, I'm using the biscuit, but they ran out of custard cream. so he wasn't happy at all. But it was ruining the scenes. It was meant to be, I'm not saying...
And bless him, because he just thought, he thought it was fresh. And you're like,
totally.
We can't keep
I wouldn't have the courage to do that. I would be like, okay, I won't eat the biscuit. But he just kept saying, I need to do it again and again with that. And it was a really intense scene. And I was thinking, this biscuit is upstaging all of us.
All of you.
This bloody custard cream.
And when Amanda Donohoe joined, I remember just thinking, and we'll get to this other person in a bit actually that I'll mention, but it was kind of like Hollywood coming to Emmerdale, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was incredible.
There was a real buzz on set. And she's got such
presence,
a dynamic energy. As soon as she comes on, you're just like, oh, and she's great. In terms of acting as well, she's just got it.
She was amazing.
She's just got it.
What I always love is working with people like that keep you on your toes, because she would almost not even know her lines, but come on and go read it for the first time, which was infuriating to some people. But the fact is, she could learn it in 2 minutes. But she'd be like, I'm not saying that. She wouldn't say that.
Because she knew that her character wouldn't say that.
And don't you think, and I've talked this about with a lot of people as well, that I think back in the day, like June Brown and stuff, still now, and I think Glynis Barber's like this, is very, so in touch with the character that they'll even know what cuts to use or whatever. And I think nowadays, unfortunately, it's changed to being, they're being difficult, which is so unfair, isn't it? Because I think actually, as an actor, you'll know this, you have to protect your own character because so many other people come and go.
Okay, well, I've always kind of, been very polite on set and been a bit too worried to say, oh no, I won't necessarily do that, or I won't, Katie won't use that cut, but I would be too terrified to do that. And the main reason is because I have seen some people who do take it a little bit too far, and it can really, because we're filming 16 scenes in a day.
It can take so long.
If someone is really sticking to, no, my character would have that. I did hear someone, I won't name names obviously, and it was a different soap to mine, but they had to have a certain type of sandwich in their suitcase, their briefcase, and they didn't have jam. The props, they only had peanut butter, and they said, no, I need jam. They went, you don't open the briefcase.
No, we don't see it.
And he went, no, but I know they're there. So he made everyone late. Everyone was waiting for them to get jam. Bless them. Come
you're
on.
Gonna have to tell me who that
and
is
I'm
after.
thinking, come on, that's just ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a balance, isn't it? Because, the funniest again was Glynis when she joined EastEnders because, and again, you can listen to her podcast, when she joined, the part was meant for Jill Gascoigne, who's about 20 years older than her, and Jill had to pull out for health reasons, so Glynis took over, but she said they kept all the scripts the same. So people were saying to her in the pub, can you see the menu or do you need glasses, dear?
No!
And the Glynis, as we know, is gorgeous.
Literally looks 20
she was like,
years
are we
younger
really
than
serious?
she is.
And someone went to her, have you got a stair lift at home?
No.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, as if they hadn't changed that.
Glynis looks about 20 years
I
younger
know,
than
and then
she
they were
is
going,
anyway.
do you need a Stella Stair lift? I know. But Amanda, and then the other person I was going to say was, and actually, does this link to a question? The other person was Patsy Kensit, because Nicola Wheeler says this, that she almost brought the Paps to Emmerdale. She kind of changed the dynamic with making Emmerdale more popular in the press.
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever intentionally with her. I think, I don't want to speak for her, but she never lauded the press.
No, it's just they loved her. So,
They loved her.
And did you feel that dynamic change? Because I think, this is actually quite funny because we're both in the same position. We both left at the same time. We were always the underdog and we go to every soap awards. Never win. The year we left.
Win.
The year we left.
The year we leave, they win everything. Every single award.
But I kind of always loved being the underdog because it kind of, I think, made Emmerdale really strong as a unit because we all fought together. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the best thing about I remember one award we did when it's the RTS Awards, and it was the one that I was actually there for, like, so I remember because we didn't expect to win, when they announced Emmerdale, like EastEnders and Corrie, I remember they were always like halfway out. They were,
yeah,
but,
they were.
Halfway out the seat, thinking, well, we've got it in the bag because we've had that storyline last week. So, but when Emmerdale were announced, we all just literally looked at each other and screamed, like genuine screaming.
Yeah, it was.
And we just walked on stage and we had the best night ever because we just.
Do you remember when I won for the Cop Death, or I won, Emmerdale won?
Yes. Oh, gosh,
and we were so shocked that we kind of all tripped up the stairs on the way down. But then, do you remember I told everyone to watch, because I don't know whether you were actually there at the night, but I told everyone to watch and I spoke last, and it cut to the ad break before they
No, it didn't.
Yeah. So next year I won for the Frozen Lake, so I just went and grabbed the award from Danny Miller and made sure I spoke first.
Yeah, good.
Because I was like, they can't cut me out then.
Yeah, can't cut me out now, guys.
And do you remember the other awards I remember is the National Television Awards where we went? And do you remember just before it went live, I stood up and trod on Amanda's dress.
Oh,
do you remember? And it just ripped. Do you know
yeah, which I think as a girl as well, when you've just got your out, it's so stressful getting ready as well. You've got this dress, which sometimes she borrowed it as well.
She had to go and find someone with a needle and thread.
Oh, God.
I was going, oh, my God. So, who pushed Katie's face into the wedding cake at her wedding?
Megan.
Megan, yes.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, you did very well on the quiz, by the way. That was to bring up the live, because that was live.
Yeah.
Your wedding was live. I mean, how amazing that was Emmerdale's first live and you were like the biggest part of it. That must have been incredible.
Well, I don't know if I was the biggest part. It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my whole life, because preparing it was, very long-winded. We had to get everything absolutely right.
And again, just to explain to people at home, look, Emmerdale Village is literally even more unlike the other soaps. It's like location is different than studio, but it's in the same place. We're like 40 minutes away from the studio, aren't we? On location.
Yeah, exactly.
So logistically, a nightmare.
Yeah, and we basically when they said action for the live episode, we had to do everything that we were told to do for that full half hour, whatever. Maybe if it was an hour, I'm not sure. But we never knew as the actors if someone else had messed up. So we just had to carry on. For all we knew, someone else, 10 minutes down the line had completely screwed up.
Yeah.
But no one messed up.
I know, it was, I think, the first one that no one messed up.
And I mean, nobody. So when they said cut, and then I remember the first turned round and was like, we've done it. There wasn't one mistake. We turned into animals. We were like animalistic. We like ran down the village road like screaming.
Well, I think Stephen Mulholland there was there for ITV2, and I had a problem because no one wanted to be a guest because everyone was just like on a high afterwards and like, we want to drink and we want to go.
Well, like obviously like theatre, for example, it's live, so you get that buzz and that adrenaline. This was going out to 10 million people, not just an audience full. So if you messed up, you knew you'd be in the paper the next day saying Sammy Winward tripped up and fell.
And I don't even want to mention the person, poor Jo Joyner, because obviously everyone mentions her for the live when she called.
I didn't know.
She called Ian, Bill, Adam.
Oh no!
And Laurie
Laurie,
who played Jane, kind of did the best line to recover it, but you could almost see Jo Joyner going. They both recovered it amazingly, but it was that thing of like, now that's always gone down. Sorry, Jo, because we've mentioned it basically about 10 podcasts. But I always say, because if you really mess up on a live episode of that, it's like you might never work again, because theatre people will be going, well, she can't even do live.
I know. I think that's what made it so much pressure on the night. You knew that. It wasn't just a normal scene. It wasn't like being on theatre where a few hundred people. You knew that everyone would see.
And you can't even comprehend 10 million people, can you?
No.
It's like you can't.
And also the main thing is people, this sounds awful, but people are waiting for you to mess up
on
the line. That's why people watch it.
I think, to be honest, even as a crew, you kind of, one tiny part of you is going, wouldn't it be funny if? Do you know what I mean?
Just something small.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to admit, there was one thing I did when I did get my face shoved in the cake.
I mean, that's kind of nerve-wracking just in itself for live.
I wasn't meant to laugh, but I did. And why, I don't know. And it weirdly looked okay.
Worked,
it looked like I meant to like go, ha, she's just shoved a cake. Like you would do that. She's just shoved a cake in my face. Katie was meant to be furious. but I got the giggles.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
I had so much cake on my face. It was insane. I couldn't breathe. It went up my nostrils and in my eyes.
Well, if you watch things like Friends, when someone picks it out and then you watch it, I mean, they're laughing actually all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a brilliant bit in 40 Tales I watched the other day when he brings a trifle instead of a duck, and you can see Prunella Scales literally crying of laughter behind because he doesn't. But I mean, that's not only is it your wedding, but to have your face pushed in a cake, which sounds minimal, but things like that actually are the hardest things to film. Because another thing of what we did, which I spoke to Sam Giles about, who's coming up next series, is we had to have Bernice throw food over your hair.
Spaghetti.
And we laughed about this because they were like spaghetti bolognese, and makeup were like, oh no, not with her blonde hair, it'll dye it.
It'll dye the hair, imagine.
So we had to go for a carbonara.
Yeah.
A white carbonara. And Sam was really nervous because Sam was dressed in like fishnets and a busk for Andy. So she was already petrified.
Fighting, yeah.
And then, because I always say, if you need to throw a pint, I'm not saying anyone does this at home, but if you try to throw a pint over someone, it's actually impossible because it doesn't go.
No, I think there's a lot of things like that where it's written in the script and it does sound really simple. However, one, you've got to aim directly at someone and you've got to hit them in the face, for example. It can take 10 takes. But also, you've got to then do it again exactly the same for continuity. So it can take 20
Forever.
30 takes.
I think we did get that in one because obviously always as a director, if you have something like that, you're like, oh no. Because if it goes wrong, it's like, right, we'll just be back in an hour. Sammy's just got to wash her hair. Yeah. You're like, no, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think even if there's one tiny strand on you, like, that's fine, that's great. Yeah. It's like, oh my God. And so, let me see what else. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say to everyone as well, and the lasting memory of that is that I've still got your face on a cushion back at home.
Oh, yeah.
Because they run the ITV show afterwards, do you remember?
Oh, the live episode.
The live episode.
Oh,
no, I
still
still
got that. I really love that cushion. But also, when I do come to your house, I love seeing me on your couch.
Oh, my couch. Well, you've now gone to the bedroom. It sounds really weird. Oh. You're now the door prop.
The door.
So I don't know whether that's downgraded or upgraded. I know.
Am I the door prop now?
Yeah, but it still looks nice. You've not been replaced. You're still kind of front of...
I'm purposeful now.
Purposeful now, yeah. You've actually got a use. You're not just there to look pretty. So, we have to get on to Katie's Men.
Oh, God.
Which has got something to do with the name we call her. So, can you, just try to list... I've got right, and I don't know whether I'm even right because I got lost on how many there are. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. Which seems you're in it 15 years, that's not bad. That's less than one a year.
That's all right.
So can you name them? Let's go for Katie's Men.
Is it kisses? Just a kiss?
Well, it didn't say on the internet whether it's third base or second base.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like relationships.
Oh, God. Okay, Andy and Robert.
Andy and Robert Sugden, brothers, yeah.
Oh, God. Andy, Robert... Then,
we've talked. Are you trying to do it chronologically?
I'm thinking, Declan. No, that's
Declan, yeah.
Declan.
You've whizzed on weight, yeah. You've gone.
I can't remember any of them. This is ridiculous.
Well, you've got someone who's one of your best friends.
What? Who?
Oh my God, he's going to kill you when he listens to this.
One of my best friends.
Who was the surprise of your hen?
Oh, Chris!
Yes!
Chris Villiers, of
Grayson.
course. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Why I forget about Chris? He was my favourite. It looks like I've got a picture of him up there.
Oh, yeah. Sammy's got a picture on the wall. And for everyone at home, it's Sammy's hen that I organised, and he was the surprise guest of the awards we did. Do you remember?
Yeah. And
Sammy was really worried I'd invited one of her ex-boyfriends. I was like, oh my God, is it? I was kind of like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Should have done it.
Right, okay, so you've got 3. 4. To be honest, most of the others are really fit as well, but you did well.
I can't remember any. Why
okay, so we had David Metcalf. I think that was just a bit of a
one-night stand.
One-night stand, yeah.
Okay.
Lee Naylor. Lewis.
Lewis. Oh, I love Lewis.
We love Lewis. Ryan Lamb, James Sutton.
Yeah.
Nick Henshaw, who was the big story, who was the mad cop, who then ended up getting rid of, kind of because of Katie, one of soaps legends, Dina Payne, left, because she got caught in a fire that was supposed to be for you, or she was trying to blame you. Nick Hill.
I didn't get with Nick Hill.
Oh, didn't you? Oh, okay.
No.
So, okay. I was quite surprised by that. She didn't get with Nick Hill. Who have I missed off here? Declan. Adam Barton.
Oh, yes. Very briefly.
That was quite cute. And I remember Adam was so nervous.
I think this is the thing. This is why I can't quite remember, because I'm terrible. I have a bad memory anyway. But because a lot of these, they literally are like 3-4 weeks of filming, and that's it.
Yeah.
And in 14 years...
Sammy just remembers the long term.
Yeah,
the long termers, not the one-nighters. But I remember Adam being so nervous, like you were saying about Kelvin at first. I think he felt that as well.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh my God, I've got to kiss Sammy. I was like, she'll never remember.
She didn't.
It'll be over in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you flirted with them. I'm surprised actually you never got with Ross or Pete Barton, but you had a flirt with them, I think, but you never got with them, did you?
No, I didn't get with them. No.
So, I mean, quite a few men. And I would say, so my memories of those, well, Nick Henshaw, I remember Michael, that huge storyline that you did. Do you remember? And then mid-filming, and Paul, my husband, was an extra. Mid-filming, the snow, like, chucked it down. Do you remember we got stuck and we just stayed in town?
Yeah, of course. We had to
drunk.
stay. Yeah, and stayed in the hotel. We just had to stay.
With Nick.
Yeah.
And then David, obviously, played by Matthew and Charlie, two of your best friends as well, two of our really good friends. Is it nice to have had those relationships continue? Because often jobs, you don't continue those relationships, but we both have, haven't we? It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been really lucky. Like, I have friends, like, where I live in Bolton. But, again, like saying before, when you're filming on Emmerdale, you're with these people more than friends and family put together. You're with these people on set all day, every day. So when you leave, those relationships do continue. You don't see them as much, but they're my best friends. You know, like you and Charlie, Matthew, Roxana, Shahidi, Sean,
who plays
Alice,
Layla, everyone, who's
and James
amazing.
Baxter, of course.
Yes.
You know, and Laura Norton. There's so many people who are either.
And what was amazing is that we all are very similar people. So, like, again, on all the other shows I work with, as lovely as they are, like, we just all bond. Like, we've all got exactly the same sense of humour.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many stories we could never mention, not because they're really bad, but just because. Like the thing. Do you remember we all went to? We've been to like Alton Towers. We've been to so many parties. We've been to. What we used to do all the time was hire a cottage, wasn't it, and go away for the weekend.
Yeah, just like do like birthday cottage weekend,
which is amazing. Murder mysteries, which are always a disaster. So that is Emmerdale, and to end the Emmerdale chat before we talk about you and other things quickly is so Sammy has had probably the best line ever to have been in Emmerdale because Katie obviously loved horses a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. You hardly ever saw her with a horse, but she did love them. And what was your best line?
Okay, so I had to
set it up for us.
So I'm just going to set the scene. So me and Matthew Wolford's character David had a bit of a fling. And anyway, I decided, we both decided it's probably best to just be friends. Anyway, I'm sat solemnly on this swing, just swinging really slowly. And Matthew has to come behind me and put his head near my shoulder. And he's like, Katie, like, I want to do it in an American accent. Katie, what's wrong? Katie, what's wrong? And I just had to shake my head and just come, just say, just go.
It's making me laugh, sorry. This is so funny.
And I just had to
I won't look at you, I'm not going to look at you.
And then I just had to say, I don't know, I just really love horses.
I just really love horses.
But the worst thing is trying to say that with a straight face.
I know.
Because she didn't want to be with him.
And what was she really meaning? Because one of the horses had died, hadn't it?
I think so. I think
I just
so.
really
And it
love
meant
horses.
that she didn't have time for relationships. She wanted to focus on the
On
horses.
the horses. Poor Katie. I mean, we all, bless her. Right, so, talking about you. So, when you were younger, I mean, you were 15 when you joined, so actually probably the youngest person that I've spoken to on this that's joined one of these shows at that young. But did you dream of it? Was it acting from the beginning?
So I actually wanted to be a dancer. So I was a dancer from when I was little to just before I joined Emmerdale. So I did ballet, and so I wanted to be a ballerina. But on the side of dancing, I did a bit of acting.
From Bolton.
Ballerina from Bolton.
Every
doesn't
girl's
quite
dream
fit
in Bolton.
Yeah. But I did musicals. So my first ever job, I was 11, and I was in a musical called Great Expectations with Darren Day.
Oh my God,
yeah,
Darren.
and so, Summer Holiday as well with Darren Day.
Who, and when we record this, we might not know, but he's released a Christmas single with the JC. JC with a GC? GC? Yeah.
Well, if you've got to remember, back then, Darren Day was huge in musicals.
Massive, because he'd done Joseph. And, yeah.
So to get that as my first job,
That's
it was one of those
amazing.
auditions where you queue round the block and say, it's an open audition. That doesn't happen nowadays.
No.
There was like a mile-long queue.
Wow.
Just anyone turns up and you audition.
Oh, I didn't actually know that. That's amazing.
And got down to like the last, there was 6 of us chosen. So I was like off school for a month and
that's amazing.
working at the Opera House in Manchester.
And did that make you just have that like love for it. Do you know what I mean? Because theatre, I think, is the best place to start. I mean, so I've never done theatre, and I did obviously the play over Christmas, and it's just got something about it, hasn't it, standing in a theatre?
It's so terrifying, and a lot of respect, because you never feel like you have enough time, and one mistake can ruin everything, and you're really aware of that. But I didn't have a huge part in that show when I was 11, thank God. And also it really gave me the bug, though. I wanted to perform.
And you've done loads of theatre now. And someone said, and I can't remember, which is really interesting to me and really true, actually, is that actually in theatre, you instantly know what you're doing right and you can change it. Whereas telly, obviously, you don't know until 6 months later, say you're doing a one-off drama, whether you've kind of been... Do you know what I mean? So actually theatre's quite good for that, as in, oh, they're not laughing, or...
Yeah,
because you can feel that you can feel like the reviews when you're there. Definitely.
You can gauge people's reactions, you can gauge what lines work and don't work. But the last play I did back in March, One Good Night, was I remember the press night was amazing. Like Sue McCardle, who's a really good friend of mine and friend of Chris Villas, her character was really funny. And press night, she had this, literally everyone was howling. Now the next night we were expecting the same. And Sue didn't change her performance at all. It was just a different crowd.
Oh, right.
And I just remember Sue coming backstage after the first, like, her little bit going, oh, no. Like, we've got another hour and a half for this. And that really knocked us for 6 because we were just on the back foot for the rest of the play. We didn't have any confidence.
Yeah. I saw Chelsea, who we both know, who was obviously in Emmerdale as well, in 95 with David Hasselhoff. And you could kind of tell what the cast were going through because obviously she said afterwards he has a habit of changing stuff or skipping stuff. And you could see everyone, he almost dropped Bonnie Tyler when we were there. We were all going, you could hear the audience go, and Bonnie obviously, no, not Bonnie Tyler, what's Bonnie Langford? Bonnie Tyler.
Imagine her being a pro and covering
well, she could she probably would have somersaulted off him and done 2 backflips. Do you know what I mean? At 70, or however old she is.
Yeah.
But you were like, it's probably Bonnie, sorry, 51. But as in, she's amazing. You could see that kind of thing, and you think, oh my God, if you're with someone who messes up.
Well, it's things like it's freezing. If you forget a line, or someone else forgets a line, that's kind of it. And a lot of the time, you can get a complete blackout where nothing comes into your head. Not even the next line or any lines from the play at all. You literally freeze. And you just come out with something. And usually the other actor sweeps you up and helps you out. But yeah, there was a couple of moments like that. And you honestly, it's the worst feeling in the history.
I remember when I did Andra. And I can't remember if I was Dracula in something. But there were 3 of us on stage, and basically what afterwards we realised was the doorbell didn't go. So all of us were just stood there. And I remember looking behind the stage, and the person doing the script had dropped the script. So it was like frantically going like this. And I think we ad-libbed for about 5 minutes. God knows what we said. Yeah,
I think I've done a few things like that where people haven't walked on, or I hadn't heard the key, so I haven't walked on. And when you do come on, like, this person looks at you as if to say, where the hell have you been? Like, with it through the lines, it's just in their eyes, but you can see it.
And does it excite you? Like, because, like, Secrets and Lies always amaze me, like Mike Leigh, the director, about actually just... Because what I find with that, and this is no disrespect to actors, is like when I did Sister's X, my own thing, and we did like a day, first of all, before Emily wrote the script, and we just got the actors to try to do it improvised. And actually, a lot of actors find it really hard to because they need a script. And which I'm not saying is a wrong thing, because you need a character in front of you to get it. It's actually quite hard to make up lines.
I've never, apart from when I was younger, like, you know, doing drama at school and things like that, I've always, especially with dancing and then acting, you're told where to go. There's not really any freestyling. You're choreographed in every way, shape, or form. So I think just doing it like that for me is so terrifying because I always worry that people are going to go, oh, that wasn't very good, or that was rubbish.
Well, I think in my head, I mean, I watch Secret Lies and I kind of go, I can't believe it is. Because you kind of have to then be a writer in your own head. Because I think, imagine people if you suddenly just go, right, do a dance. I mean, it's always going to be like dreadful, just throwing arms.
Well, unless you've had a few drinks. It's marvellous.
We've done that all the time. There's so many songs I could play that we've sung as well. Oh my God. So me and Sammy usually get on the karaoke and sing everything.
Yeah, everyone else leaves the room.
Back catalogue from like 70s to...
What's our quote of the night is usually someone walking, whilst we're singing karaoke, someone walking back in the room and going, are you still singing?
Going? Yeah.
We're like 3 hours later, we're like, yes, get out.
Yeah, and we think we're amazing. Then the next day, it's like totally flat.
Yeah.
So that's that. You also did, I mean, talking of singing, you did, and I was going to play them, but I just know you hate them. You did Soapstar Superstar as Madonna, which was actually amazing. Was that?
Superstar was separate. Then I did the Madonna.
Oh, that was Madonna special.
Yeah, something like that.
And then Sammy did also, and now this will be edited out if she says no, but I was actually going to play on the podcast you singing it at my wedding. Am I allowed to play it to everyone? A clip?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, a little clip. I'll play a tiny little clip of it.
Okay.
You can choose the clip.
Okay,
we'll listen to it afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
So basically, Sammy sung the most beautiful song at me and Paul's wedding in Kirk's Abbey, which was amazing. I still listen to it, and I still must get you to record it, but it's incredible because Sammy, so basically to let everyone know, Sammy's got the most incredible voice, but will only sing when she's normally drunk and also gets us to turn away from her. So the fact that she sung in an open cathedral with everyone there was like, oh my God, this is how much she loves me.
That was
it's
quite
incredible.
a big deal. I think I either do it for, I can't have anyone looking at me when I sing usually, but then I've sang my sister down the aisle and I've sang you down the aisle. So the two most
I suppose
pressure,
if it means something to
yeah,
you,
but it's
different.
also the pressure. And it's like if your best friend or your sister asks you, you can't go no, you know. So yeah. But I really enjoyed it actually. Both
and
of
it
them.
was incredible. So everyone has to have a little listen.
Under a trillion stars, we danced on top of cars, took pictures of the stage, so far from where they are. They made me think of you. They made me think of you. Oh, life must go down. In the moment we're lost and found, and I just wanna be by your side. If these wings could fly.
Just to say a funny story, do you remember, because me and Paul, my husband, had been to the Abbey, a really long walk down, and played the song and timed it the week before, and do you remember he started walking down the slowest?
Oh yeah.
So I'm at the front going, hurry up! It's like something I have to sing another two versions of
It was the longest
it.
style ever as well.
It was the longest style ever. So then you left, you've been in things, I mean, you did, which was amazing, the second series of Prey, which must be really different after coming out of Emmerdale, because I find single camera dramas actually really boring to do, because it takes so long, as I keep saying on this, soap is so quick, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there was a real difference with that, with doing drama. Like, Emmerdale is so well put together in terms of we still managed to make really good TV in the quickest time period you could ever imagine. Whereas a drama, the thing I loved about the drama is, in a different way, was I could actually sit with the director for an hour and chat through.
Yeah.
We could discuss stuff on set.
Yeah.
Should we change this?
You can discuss what your motivation is.
Necessarily don't feel like my character would do that. Should we try this? And you do get a bit more time. So yeah, it is completely different. But yeah, I love doing Prey. The director, Lewis Arnold, was the first director I worked with since leaving Emmerdale, so I was quite nervous about that. But he made me feel so comfortable.
And who was the other actress? I can't remember her name.
Oh, you've talked about her before. She was in
she was in Luther.
Yes.
She was in the last series of
We'll
Luther.
remember her name.
Amazing.
It was
but
Philip
yeah.
Glenister was my dad.
And again, we talk about this because, and how different people feel differently, but actually, again, I always champion soap, because if you can do soap, you can do anything. But I kind of, when I did Holby and stuff, what I missed was, I think as an actor, you start questioning how you've done something because you do it so many times. And then you're like, oh, actually, I prefer this way. You're like, but I think there's nothing more incredible than doing something in one, if it's emotional, one take on soap.
Yeah.
Like, you can never be, I think, we always say, I did the Charlotte Bellamy episode with the cot death, and I just think that one scene will always stick with me when she runs down the stairs.
Oh yeah, I remember it.
As
like
fine, like you almost, and she says you probably almost would never get that again because she put everything into that one moment.
Yeah, totally. I remember a scene. It was, I don't think it was a huge storyline particularly, but I had a really emotional scene. Oh no, it was actually, sorry. I was found by someone in the cafe on the floor. I just had the miscarriage. So I was really young. And obviously, the scene was a reasonably long scene, like 2-3 pages or whatever. But we did it in 7 minutes. Wow. It was the quickest scene from line run to filming it to doing it. That was it. Because I got it on the first take and that was it. And the director went, and we both said, I'm not going to get that again now. Like, I was there. I was totally there. And he said, right, I agree. Let's move on.
Which
7
is
minutes.
Incredible, I know. Well, Charlotte, I always remember, and she talks about this, so it's fine, that had a picture. I remember seeing it, because I remember we didn't talk on the day. She was like, can I just use hand signals and stuff? Not being divish, but being, because she had worked herself up. and she had a picture of her baby in her script because she'd just had a
Yeah.
baby as well. How do you go to those places? Do you have to think of something in your own life, or can you bring it on? Because Patsy Palmer, for instance, can just...
I am actually a really good crier. Like, I can kind of do it, not on demand, but like, I can get myself into that place quite well. I just think of something really sad, and you know, different things.
Probably
to be
a
honest,
horse.
Yeah, probably horses in my life that I've
A horse
lost.
dying.
A horse dying or something.
She's crying now.
Yeah, I just think of usually something reasonably bad's happened within the past couple of years, so you just kind of picture that.
Just picture that. And
it sounds awful, but you do.
It's
and it
always
just
good to
gets
have a
you
cry.
there, you know.
And then you obviously did. Well, you did a film called Leadbelly. It's called Leadbelly, isn't it? Not Leadbelly, because I thought they spelt it wrong.
Yeah.
In 2019, with Jamie Lomas covering homelessness, which is a really important subject.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was brilliant. So I got a call from Jamie who said, "Would you like to play like my ex-wife in the film?" So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So it's about, he plays a veteran who has left the army because he's got shrapnel in his stomach, hence Leadbelly, that's the name. And he's become homeless, he's an alcoholic and a drug addict. And he's really struggling with it. And his ex-wife still really cares for him, and she's there for him all the time. But it's their relationship and the struggles that they have. But also, I think it's not really talked about enough, the struggle that people have once they do leave the army. And I have close friends who've been through that. One of my really good friends, Craig, I actually got him to go down and set every day, and he was with Jamie and met with Jamie quite a few times because he's been through it himself. And he said the first time he read the script, I sent it to him, he burst into tears. And he just said, "This means so much to me, Sammy." And the small premiere that we had for it, lots of veterans came.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
we got a standing ovation.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, which was fantastic.
think that's what our job is brilliant at, is that we can bring, in soap especially, actually, because it's in people's lounges every day, like, you can just bring issues to the forefront, can't you?
Yeah.
In a kind of, really that's amazing with Leadbelly, but with soap, isn't it? Because you can build those stories. I think, at the moment, both soaps have been doing domestic violence, EastEnders and Corrie, and just the effect...
Absolutely.
That has, and luckily, because soaps never talk to each other, I don't think about storylines, and they did it with a young girl in EastEnders and with a much older woman in Coronation Street, and it's actually quite amazing that you can have that.
Well, if you're somebody going through, whether it is a miscarriage or something horrific in your life, especially if you're someone who doesn't necessarily talk to people about it, which a lot of people don't, so if you see someone on TV going through that, and even it's a weird link in a way because it's just someone on a screen, but it's seeing someone else going through it, and it's understanding it's not just you're not alone.
No,
people go through this, other people go through it as well. And I remember the storylines I've had, when I couldn't walk, my character, and the miscarriage stuff. I got so many letters about that.
That's incredible, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And loads of letters from people who had run over their head.
Yeah, teacher.
You really helped me.
Yeah, I killed my head teacher.
You really helped me hide it as well. Imagine. And I saw you, you've done things, I think as well, like pantomime is not, I don't think it is seen as being rubbish anymore, because actually pantomimes are amazing. And because Ian McClellan brought them to the West End and stuff, and yours was incredible. Because I always go again, you go, right, I'm going to go and see my friend, and oh God, please let it be good.
Yeah, because you've got to sit through
we've
2
been
hours
to
of
things that
panto.
haven't been good as well, haven't
Yeah,
we?
of course
and
we
seeing
have.
our friends afterwards going, oh, the lighting was just stunning. But the panto was great. Like, they're really good productions, aren't they?
Yeah, I had the bet. Again, I think panto gets a lot of stick, but the amount of time you get to rehearse and put on a show like that, which is all comedy essentially, so it's comic timing.
Yeah, which is really hard. Yeah.
So,
and people's demands are so high now, I think, because they can watch so much online. Pay money to go to a theatre. Yeah. It has to be good.
So it has to be good. You've got to make people laugh, dance, sing, change costumes 165 times. And it's really hard. But the guy that played Buttons,
he was amazing.
Divine,
I think it always depends on... Normally, because you played the role that's normally played by someone rubbish, because normally Cinderella's not the famous person. Do you know what I mean? It's normally you're hanging on for the dames and the button. Normally it's the buttons that's kind of the famous man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the bad person. It's not normally Cinderella. So, and actually go, how mad that most productions of Cinderella just put a local Amdram artist in the role of Cinderella.
Yeah, I know, I didn't have a huge amount of funny lines and things like that. A few here and there. But you know, I was saying before about like you really have to rely on someone on stage. And Lewis, who played Buttons, he's done so many shows that if he saw me panicking or knew that I'd forgotten a line, he'd go in straight away. And I think if I didn't have that for my first panto, I would have crumbled so many times. But it turned out all right. It was good.
It was brilliant. And I'm jealous. That's why I want to be a soap star, because I'd love to do panto for you. She can just do it. My friend, shall I say, my friend Simon, who was on CBBC years ago, as I said, he still does panto.
Yeah.
Which he like has a normal job now in the year, and then just goes off to do theatre at the not the weekend, at Christmas. Well, Sammy, it's been amazing to speak to you. We're now going to pour some vodka and see you in the new year. Yeah. So happy Christmas. I've already had one, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone, and love you loads.
Thank you so much for having me, Lee. I've had the best time. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Well, I couldn't ask for more than to finish Series 1 with one of my best mates. Thank you so much to Sammy Winward, and thank you for listening and supporting Soap from the Box. It was a little idea I had in lockdown. It's grown and grown. It's been an amazing success, and it's all thanks to you. So I really, really do appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be having a little break, just need a bit of time off, and I need to record some more podcasts. So we'll be back with Series 2 very soon. Keep an eye out on social media at Soap from the Box on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And the exciting news is I'll also be back with a brand new podcast, revealed now, called Pop from the Box, where I'll be speaking to pop stars of years gone by. I am so excited. Thank you so much to David, Stevens and the Bothy for all their edit and technical wizardry over the whole series. One of my best mates, couldn't do it without him. And as I said, thank you and have a brilliant new year, and see you soon.